Welcome back to another Hooligans pitch. This one is a little bit special. As always, it's me, Chad,
And Michael.
and Michael, but now we got a special guest with us today.
And who else could it be but the one and only Zach?
That's right. Welcome, Zach.
I think other Zach that's in our league might have some words for you with that, but
That's true. That's true. Forgot. And Zach was actually the other Zach was our first guest on the show, and now you are technically I would call you our second guest ever because Theo, that was kind of like a bonus episode. It wasn't all three of us, and now you are officially our second guest. We only take Zachs on this show. We need to find another one coming up. But yeah, welcome. Glad to have you. You're the first Leeds supporter I think we've ever met. Honestly, I don't know very many of you out there in this world. So congratulations for sticking around and being one of the few.
Yeah, it is a very small population that makes up Leeds supporters in terms of in the United States, but globally there's a lot of people at the very least.
Sure.
I'm just happy to be part of the elite Zach crew. I do say the one and only, but that's just more like we're kind of a hive mind situation.
Sure.
yes.
But yeah, supporting Leeds has been a very, very, let's call it a roller coaster. That's probably the gentlest way to put it.
Sure, and now you probably got, not you personally, but the United States as a whole is probably looking at Leeds more and more as it seems to be a United States player hub, which is just fascinating. Feels a little Ted Lasso-y to us, and yeah, we'll jump in on that. But as is tradition, we're going to crack our brews. Chad, I'm drinking a Schlafly Wintry Haze IPA. I like to say Schlafly. I don't think that's how you actually say it, but Schlafly was from School of Rock or some saying with that word. No, not Schneebly. No. Jack Black would say, he said Schlafly somewhere in there, not Schneebly, but I think he was playing off of that. So I'm going to crack this bad boy open.
Sure, yeah. I'm drinking a Tiki Time from Cali Craft.
Fun.
It's a nice little tropical wheat beer. Very tasty.
Nice.
And mine's a very hoppy, very fruity flavor sort of combination. It's a Dr. Pepper zero sugar with cream.
Oh.
Ooh.
So very like health conscious, except for all the additives. It's already open, so I can't get a crack.
Hey, that's okay. We've done that too. Now, is Dr. Pepper, just a side note, is that 51 flavors? Is that
23.
Oh, it's 23. So does cream make it 24?
I was going to say, yeah, with cream, it's 24 now, at least. I mean, if you look at the list of ingredients they have on the side, it's probably a little bit closer to 100. But
all right, well, let's talk some footy now that we're all here and acquainted. The last time we left off was last Sunday. We had one more Premier League game to go, Tottenham and Fulham. We both predicted maybe a doozy of a match, both fifth and sixth place teams going at it. And to be honest with you, that was one of the most boring. We've been saying this a lot lately. This is the most boring game of the year. That's up there with a 1-0 score line of being the most boring game I think I've seen.
I just I had such high hopes for Fulham to really do something here, and they just did not.
Yeah. Zach, did you get a chance to watch that one?
I didn't really get the chance to watch it. I saw the highlights a little bit afterwards. But my thoughts on it is that it's just one of those matches you can add a safe bet on. I love seeing Fulham beat some higher up teams, but like a Harry Kane goal in a 1-0 Tottenham game.
Yeah, what else do you expect? And to be fair, that goal was pretty sweet by Kane.
Oh, no, nice goal for sure.
Yeah, credit to him, but Fulham looked just dry. They didn't have no creativity. And we kind of talked about this last time too. They need Mitrovic and the old man Willian to come in there and kind of do what they can. But Mitrovic was basically invisible. That goal, I felt like that was going to wake up Fulham. Oh, okay, time to come alive now. And it just didn't do it. So pretty boring game. And then into the week, we had Arsenal, Man City. That game kind of went the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
You agree?
Result-wise, I don't know. I really didn't know which way this was going to go, but I think how it played out, it was pretty much how I expected, where very just slow, methodical. I don't think any team really wanted to give their full tactics away I think they're both kind of more focused on the league.
Yeah.
But I will say that this Arsenal team has liked a few revenge wins, so this might kind of tee up Arsenal a little bit better in the league when they meet up with City in a couple of weeks here. But yeah,
This was a game that City, I think, had to win, because if Arsenal beats them here, all eyes are on City to, I don't know, maybe do something crazy at the transfer window, even though they're already fully stacked. I just see this was a bigger win for City than it was a loss for Arsenal.
I don't think this is going to disrupt Arsenal's momentum or drive or anything. I talked to another Arsenal fan at work, and we were both just on the same page of like, FA Cup is a great competition, but like we have the opportunity at the league at this point, and like we're taking that. We're all in on the league this year. So,
yep. And then just overall for the weekend of sports, pretty miserable weekend for me. Liverpool losing to Brighton. The one bright moment was maybe Wrexham winning today, and that didn't happen either. The house got pretty hyped up for that.
That Wrexham game was pretty exciting. Like,
it was exciting. Don't get me wrong. It's like cool to see him there. Zach, are you familiar with Wrexham and what they've done?
Oh, incredibly. I was a bit taken aback whenever I first heard about the news of the Hollywood stars taking over, how they were going to. It felt there's a good line in Ted Lasso actually about it where I can't remember his name for the life of me, but
is it Beard? Coach Beard?
No, the director of football in the show. I was watching it last night, but he says he's talking to the board of directors at Wrexham, and he can't for the life of him figure out if it's a joke. It's like that's exactly how I've been feeling about a lot of Wrexham, but it's really cool seeing it like start to pay off now.
Yeah.
And like I watched their Welcome to Wrexham series.
Mm-hmm.
I probably wasn't going to, just because I don't really like watching documentaries that aren't about Leeds. But then I saw they had like John Green come in for a crash course video. I was like, I gotta watch this now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty fascinating how money can truly buy happiness for a club, and it makes you wonder if they would have put their money into what other club would be playing today. And it's fascinating that Wrexham was the choice. But yeah, weird seeing Ryan Reynolds on TV today cheering for a team, and it's weird. It's a weird thing.
Every time he was on, it was either like frustration or like excitement or just like sadness and confusion, and just he felt every single emotion, and like clearly he's fully bought in more than just money at this point. Like,
yeah, he's not acting. It looks he's acting like it's his true passion, which is neat. Higgins, was that the name you're thinking of? Zach Higgins? Higgins? Okay.
Leslie Higgins.
There you go.
Higgins. Yeah.
All right, great. All right, Zach, we told you we were going to bring you on here if some crazy news happened. What a deal, I think, for Leeds to pull off Weston Mckinnie from Juventus. Juventus, over the last week, lost 15 points from Serie A. Hilarious. They're still like in the top half of the table, or pretty close to that mark. Juventus is just going to be the butt of jokes. They were the butt of jokes 20 years ago. They're going to be the butt of jokes for the next 20 years. What a disgrace of a club. So happy to see an American get off that club and to come to a Premier League team in Leeds. So Zach, take it away with what you hope to see in McKinney, what your realistic expectations are for Leeds as a whole, and how soon do you think we'll see him play?
I'm going to start off with that last question, because I think it's a very interesting one. The Leeds have always had kind of this sort of weird trouble with getting people in quickly. But we've seen just very recently Jorginho Rutter, I believe is how you say his name, the forward that they just signed not even like a week ago, went straight in for the Accrington Stanley match in the FA Cup. And, full respect to Accrington Stanley, they gave us a very good game, but like the FA Cup, that's where you try to introduce new players around this time. I don't know if it'll be the same case for Weston McKinney, especially considering it feels more like a depth signing. With the money to it, I'm not really sure if that's exactly the case, especially considering it's a loan to buy, which seems to be our favored way of doing business. It's how we got Juan Melier, Jack Harrison. Like, all of a lot of the really big moves we've been doing have been loan to buys. For some reason, that seems to be Rajazani's favorite pick. I do think he'll be playing within less than like 2 weeks after the end of this international break. He's a very, very good player who has kind of like a set style, so there's not really like a lot to say, okay, you got to do this whole new tactical thing. He works in a system that Jesse Marsh is already working with. It's kind of a bit more of a plug and play. I think the hardest thing is just going to be getting him up to speed with what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that's clicked, he'll probably be taking Click's spot, who we just sold to DC United. I don't know if it's a sell or if it was a contract situation. That one has been kind of unclear to me. I haven't really looked into it too much.
Well, the deal for McKinney was 1.4 million, which is a steal in my mind. Looking at Poole and what they've done for their midfield in the last year has been disgraceful. And for 1.4 million, I was like, that was maybe a shot they could have taken. And even though McKinney might not have that crazy creativity like a Thiago, which is kind of what we need more of, it still would have been a great player for a very cheap price. So to me, that's something that we've missed out on. So yeah, kudos to Leeds for kind of taking, a little gamble, but not a risky gamble.
Yeah, it's not going to be exactly 1.4 million if we do buy him, because then it'll be, there's all the
I think it's
add-ons.
30. I think it's around 30.
Yeah, 30 something after that, which is going to be, that's still in its own a steal. He's a player who you'd expect at least 50, especially from a team like Juve, who, if it wasn't for the 15-point reduction being about finances, could absolutely fight for whatever price they want for him.
Mm-hmm.
But considering that, they have really nowhere to argue or bargain. I do think, yeah, he's the kind of player that a lot of teams right now in the Premier League are kind of looking for. We were apparently in the pool of teams looking for Unai, the Moroccan midfielder who lit up the World Cup. And I posted something in here on the Discord fairly recently that it was like, I'd rather have Unai over Weston Mckinnie, because looking at the stats that I was looking at, it was like Unai is like objectively better. But then I started taking more of a look into what exactly would Unai bring to our side, and he would bring kind of the same thing as McKinney. But McKinney has a lot more physicality, and though he hasn't shown a lot of goal scoring, but what goals he does score are things that are very common for us to make. I think we're going to see like maybe a bit of an uptick in his scoring throughout his Leeds career relative to his career prior. He scored like 18 goals across all competitions
since his career at Juve.
Since he started playing, I believe. Let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, 18 and 187 since starting at Schalke in 2016.
I forgot he was back there. That felt like ages ago. The one thing with Unahi that I was looking at that kind of scared me in terms of comparing the two is Unahi's 6 foot, lengthy. Do you want to take a guess on how much he weighs?
I don't know off the top of my head. I was looking at it earlier, like 180?
Dude, 135.
No way.
So he's a very frail, skinny man, which, great. I love the length, but the EPL is a very physical league, he's going to get hammered, and I would worry about his boats. They might be dense, he might be strong, but just when I saw that, I was like, no way. And I believe it, because I've been there. I mean, I understand what it's like to be a frail, skinny, skin and bone type person. And one knock from one of these 200-pound center backs, I just can't imagine what that would feel like. And, maybe he's doing just fine the way he is. But that just stood out to me, like, on pure physicality, that's where he would struggle.
Yeah. And that I didn't even really think about exactly how much he would weigh. Like, that's actually, I would say, the big issue right now with Brendan Aronson at Leeds. Like, he's showing off a really good technical ability and a general understanding of the game that not a lot of our players are like really putting forward. But he'll like start a dribble, start a progressive pass, and then get knocked off the ball by somebody twice his size. Yep. He's a bit of a string bean, and I didn't know Unai was 130 pounds. Yeah, never mind. Thanks,
Yeah,
Unite. But
Aaronson's 5'10", 150.
yeah,
So,
that's
Dang.
even worse.
but what
Yeah,
I
for
love about Arison is he puts his head down and he goes.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
He doesn't let his size dictate who he is on the field.
absolutely not.
That's why he's one of my favorite players for the United States team. It was a shame we saw him coming in at the 60th minute when that man should have been starting, I think, every single game. As far as the United States team goes, do you want to talk about your ex-coach maybe coming in there? And,
Yeah, that's
as far as I know about Bielsa, that's how you say his name, correct? Is it Bielsa?
Bielsa. Like
Bielsa.
more emphasis on the L. I do. I don't
Okay.
know if that's
I know nothing about him. I know nothing about his history, what his tactics are. I'm very curious as to if that hiring happens, what should the United States team expect as a culture and from a tactical standpoint?
all right. Well, that's a very good question because in my Discord little about me thing, it's got I'm a Marcelo Bielsa stan. That's what got me really to. I mean, I wasn't really into soccer, and then he came to Leeds, and I was like, okay, it's no longer soccer, it's football, and Leeds is my team. Marcelo Bielsa is my guy. Just everything about him, his story, the way he plays, the way he manages, has been transformational for not only Leeds and the teams he's managed before, Chile and Argentina, but just for me as a person getting into sports. So to get on his like tactical, his cultural aspects, like uh, he is directly responsible for revolutionizing how we look at like statistics. He was one of the first managers to record tape of games and look it back and be like, all right, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. Whenever this happens, we need to be pushing in here. He revolutionized shape. He created a 3-3-1-3 that's directly influenced how Pep Guardiola's tactical system works. That we now he still tried to use it at Leeds. It didn't work out as well. I think more because the players weren't necessarily perfect for the system. But if we see that being used at the United States, I think we'd see a lot more midfield emphasis, a lot more uh, shifting positions where we would have a lot more like total football kind of style, sort of a return to how Cruyff kind of made people rotate from where you'd expect them to be just every couple 5 minutes. We'd see a lot of very, as far as the culture goes, we'd see a very like, I don't know if structured is the right word, but there would be a lot of communication between the sides that have the United States players, the American managers, the American domestic league. He has a very incredible talent for national management. And though he hasn't really won anything, it has been the like mantra for his entire career that you do not necessarily have to measure success with trophies, wins, or losses. You just look at what he did for Chile and the fact that an Argentinian man in Chile is now uh, one of the most well-respected managers.
Yeah.
And it's a thing of like building an understanding of this is what football is, this is how to develop players, and then either getting fired because he doesn't win as much and bringing in now somebody who never could have possibly been thought of to manage that team, or finally winning the World Cup with the Americans.
Oh,
That's
dude,
what
hang on.
that's
Whoa, oh, man. That just, whoo, man, I just got goosebumps. I just got hot. Whoo, man, I'm blushing. It's hot in here.
yeah. I don't know if he'll finish up taking the job, but apparently it's the I don't know if it's the most discussed to replace Berhalter, but it's definitely one I'm seeing a lot of around Twitter.
Well, the Zidane and the Pep Guardiola talks were just ridiculous, and it was
That's
like,
never gonna
come
happen.
on, like, but the fact that it was it circulated around the media saying like, oh, we're looking at this, like, got enough attention to where maybe people were like, well, who can we realistically get here, and who will come in with with immediate respect, where players will take to so quickly because he's been all around the world. He's been there. He's done it all. Greg's resume is just not as awesome as Bielsa's, just to say the least. Like he comes in with his set standards already, and I believe if he comes in tomorrow, there will be a total shift in mindset and motivation and what is to come in 3 years that no other coach, at least from an American nationality, could do.
Yeah,
I don't think there's one coach right now who with American descent who could come in there and do what he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, from the Leeds that I watched when Bielsa was there, like Leeds still has a lot of energy now, but I feel like he kind of really put that energy into the team, and just like Leeds is just running forever. And the U.S. men's national team has a lot of those younger players, a lot of the quicker players, and we saw glimpses of it during the World Cup. But I think Greg is just like, he seems a little too, I don't know, mellow or something, where he's not able to rile the squad up and like really get them to I don't know, push harder, I guess. But
it looks like he lacks urgency in dire situations. Like, I understand it's good to stay calm and collected and all that crap, but man, when it's time to like get your team fired up, there is just we look at Arteta, what he's doing right now, and people are saying he needs to chill out. F that. I want my coach to go crazy on the sideline when we score a goal. I want him to earn a yellow card when he's trying to protect his players. I want those things instead of Greg just being like this.
Yeah. That's that's one of the things that Bielsa's known for. His nickname is El Loco, the crazy one. And whenever you hear all like the story and the myth behind Bielsa that was built in Argentina with his time at Newell's Old Boys, you get this idea that he's this insane guy who literally held a live grenade in a pack of Ultras fans because he.
What?
I don't know exactly why. There is so much to his story of just like insanity and emotion and passion. Maurizio Pochettino, he's the guy who figured out, oh, hey, this guy's gonna be good at football. And the way he did that was he went into the guy's house while his mom invited Bielsa in, and he looked at Pochettino while he was sleeping. Went, those are football player legs. That was it. And now Pochettino's managing top level teams. And
look, see, that's the kind of crazy we need in the U.S. team. Just like wild ideas and thoughts, and just something to get U.S. like more on the map of respected international football.
The only thing is that he has. Whenever you get that whole myth, you get the idea that he's going to come in there immediately like that. Mm-hmm. And today, I mean, he's a much older man.
67.
Seen photos of him. Yeah, 67. He's still got a lot in him, but he keeps that passion in for like speeches, for more poetic wording, and especially like in the middle of a match, you'll just hear piercing through like Elland Road atmosphere. You can hear him just say, very good Davis is one of the things that just sticks in my head. We had a young player, Leaf Davis, running down the left wing, and we were in the middle of singing Marching On Together, and you could hear him just scream above that. And he's got that kind of passion still in him, and I think it's going to be very helpful to get a change from that. It's just also important to note that like he's a lot more when you're first looking at him, he's a lot more like controlled, conceited, very methodical with like his thoughts, his actions, his movements. So it'll be, I think, an immediate change in terms of, like you said, that respect that like he has been just about everywhere. But I think we'll need like one or two international friendlies for him to pull what he did at Marseille. He like used 3 substitutions before the 40th minute, I believe. Because people just weren't doing what he wanted them to do.
Hey, that's fair.
It'll take something like that, and at that moment, I think it'll all click, and he will just get that kind of like the resources he needs, the attention from the players. They'll give him the respect. Pep Guardiola was asked who's the best manager in the world, and he said Marcelo Bielsa.
Wow.
And I personally believe that to be still true, even after the a little bit of collapse in 2022 with Leeds, which I personally feel like was partially Bielsa's aspect, like fault, to put it a little aggressively, but more than anything, it was we had so many injuries on leaders in the dressing room,
Mm.
and it was we've always been strongest under Bielsa whenever we had the same 11 players ready to go in, week out. Like the championship season that we got promoted was, I don't think Klick missed a single game. Matthias Klick, who was this kind of vaguely nobody Polish midfielder, became a world beater under Bielsa because of the consistency in the lineup. And then that 2022 season comes around. Calvin Phillips is injured. Liam Cooper's injured. Patrick Bamford can't get off the stretcher without picking up another injury. And it just fell apart. But I think with the United States men's national team, it'll be the same with Bielsa as it's always been. It'll either be some form of collapse, and he'll have built something better for somebody else to come into and really take off with, or he'll come in, stay around for as long as he needs to, and become possibly one of the best in our history.
Right. Well, lucky for us, in 2026, our squad is still going to be super young. I would say just at the start of their, like, what's considered their prime, 26, 27. Not so much 28, maybe a couple here and there. But, when things roll back around in 2030, that's like, if it's not done by 2030, then everything's going to shift again. And we're kind of going to go back to where we started from this last one in 2018. I just want to read this quick quote about Bielsa and the whole grenade situation because it's fascinating to me. When he was a coach at Newell's in 1992, the club lost the match 6-0, and a group of ultras turned up at his home to complain. Legend has it, when he opened the front door, Bielsa was holding a grenade in his hand and threatened to pull the pin if the fans did not leave. When the supporters fled, Bielsa chased them down the street and shouted, "Do you still want to talk? Do you still want to talk?" whilst in his pajamas. And I hope the same energy comes if he does get hired, because we will have never seen anyone like this before. Klinsmann was like, a great German player, but didn't have this type of passion and energy and honestly craziness that he brings. So yeah, I'm all for El Loco right? Is that the nickname?
El Loco.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I really hope it comes, because the United States team is just evaporating into dust right now. It seems like every person in charge is just getting fired or dropping or letting go. And it's a pretty awful thing to see, considering we had a somewhat successful World Cup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the time to do it, right? Like,
yeah,
you're in that in-between early stages of moving into the next World Cup. So get all that backroom drama out of the way now. And
we can't let it linger, though. It's already kind of lingering right now. This can't go on for another month. This can't.
No, yeah. Yes, I mean, I think they hopefully quickly can get a manager in, whether it's Bielsa or someone else, and just move forward now.
Yep. Would be sweet. All right. And then, Zach, we did ask you kind of a string of questions there, just about Leeds and Bielsa and McKinney, but I just want to bring up Leeds. Leeds is sitting 15th right now with 18 points. What are your expectations for them where are your expectations for them to finish? And then Chad and I will counter that with our knowledge on Leeds and everyone else, because, you have a little bit of a bias. We have we're trying to stay non-biased with everyone. So where are your expectations? Where would you like to finish?
Well, if I would like to finish, would be, we supplanted Arsenal in the last days of it. But, more realistically, it's looking like it's going to be a relegation battle. I mean, I don't know the exact points of the bottom three right now, but we're not far off.
I'll give them to you. Southampton at 15, Everton at 15, Bournemouth at 17, and then we got 17 Wolves, 18 West Ham, 18 Leeds, 18 Leicester.
It's tight.
Yeah,
it's tight.
That is, my God, it is such a good fight for a neutral. But for me, I'm pretty young, but I am going to need heart medicine by the end of the season. I think we're going to be finishing above the drop. How far up the drop is really for anyone to say. I think this side's currently in relegation. The bottom three are not necessarily the sides I would choose to get out of it, considering Everton might be able to put something together, and Southampton is the only one I would really say is like out of all the three, I'd say they have the best chance. They seem the most stable and able to just kind of win 1 or 2 points that they need to get out, and then somebody just drops in.
So you're saying Everton and Southampton are going to get out?
I'm saying Southampton probably will. Everton depends on who they get to replace Frank Lampard.
I agree. I agree with that. That's what I was kind of thinking too. And Bournemouth is the other one in that zone. Granted, they have 17 points. So do the Wolves. So I mean, I think the Wolves can keep slipping because they haven't done anything too spicy in the transfer window. A couple players here and there, but not enough to. I mean, when you're bringing in Diego Costa, you can't expect much. They did bring in a new keeper. I don't expect Jose Sa to lose his position. It's got to just be a backup move. West Ham, I don't expect to be still lingering down there, but you never know with them. They've played like crap for a majority of this season. But again,
it's been a bit of a shock after last season, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They seem to be a topic of our conversations fairly often, and how sometimes they'll win a game. We're like, wow, this is their time. And then they'll go on a string of losses, and it's like, okay, no, we were way off. So yeah, I think Leeds make it out. I think they have the talent. And also Leeds are within the bottom 10 teams. The Leeds are still a game back. They've played 19. Everyone else played 20. So
yeah, and our next one's against Nottingham Forest too, which
winnable.
Very winnable. Nottingham Forest, very good team as far as they're what I'd expect from them. But I still do think, even on a away game, I think that might put an end to. I mean, technically, the Accrington Stanley put an end to the stat that Leeds hadn't won in the last 5 away games. In terms of in the league, I think Nottingham Forest might be where we have to really push for it.
Mm-hmm. And then Man United the following week, which is probably when you think we'd see McKinney.
Yeah, I would say McKinney's probably going to come on as a sub there, just because against a side like Manchester United, you're going to want your starting 11 to be very experienced, very cemented, very knowledgeable about each other. Mm-hmm. I do think he could start, considering he's been with Tyler Adams in the setup for the US for a while. So that
it might be easier to drop him in compared to if you didn't know Tyler Adams and Brendan Aronson and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
Built-in chemistry right from the start. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. It's fun to see. I feel like it doesn't happen too often when the whole, a third of your squad is basically on the national team together. And I guess besides like the Barcelonas and the Real Madrids, but
yeah, it's on that subject, it's 43% of all the Premier League minutes this season made by U.S. American internationals is going to be by Leeds players once this goes through.
Dang.
That's so funny. Who'd be the other percentage? Pulisic?
That'd be Tim Ream, Pulisic, and Chris Richards. And Anthony Robinson as well.
Robinson.
Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting seeing the Leeds United States of America play out there. But
yeah, I think like Leeds can survive. Like just kind of looking at their results now, it's just you got 4 wins, 6 draws, 9 losses. If you can just convert some of those draws into a win, I think you'll be pretty good. Like you're scoring goals, you're defending pretty well. It's just the few games that I've watched this season, it seems like they sometimes struggle to kind of either hang on to the lead or like really push for the lead. But I mean, they just always have so much energy, and I feel like a lot of teams don't have that, so you can just out energy and outpace the other team.
Yeah, it's been our thing, and especially with McKinney. Like, I think the biggest issue with getting those draws has been that we get up to the opponent's box, and then somebody shoots straight into 3 defenders when there's somebody wide right next to them, and it's just happening every single time. I think McKinney's going to bring in the right kind of. He knows when and when not to shoot. How many goals he gets out of that is a bit different, but I think he'll like I said, I think we'll see an uptick in scoring because I think he's going to be in the right position just with the side.
Yeah, and I mean, even if he, gets a few shots off but doesn't score, he's at least letting the other teams know that he's a potential threat, right? And can pull a defender or two towards him and hopefully open it up for someone else. But
So as for where Michael thinks Leeds is going to finish here.
Oh, I don't think they'll get relegated. I actually had, believe it or not, I had Leeds finishing in the top 6 at the start of this season. Yeah, I know. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I was being really hopeful because after their first week, they looked really good. I'm trying to remember who they played week 1. Because we
Chelsea was, I think, week 1 or week 2.
And they beat them?
They beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
3-0?
So 1-0? Now, if you would have told me Chelsea would be 10th at this point in the season, I would have then thought about it differently because I was expecting Chelsea top 4 and Leeds finishing underneath them, which very well could happen. After next week, if Leeds goes to 21 points, they're only 8 points behind Chelsea. So that's not anything crazy. I just miscalculated where Chelsea would be. So yeah, I think they're going to be safe. I don't expect them to move into the top 10. I think they'll probably kind of stay where they are. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Marsh because he just, there are a lot of expectations. But again, you got to let things build. We're in such a instant gratification mode right now with all these managers, and they need to bring results tomorrow. And if they don't, their job's in jeopardy by the next day, and they've only been there for a couple months. So I think they still got to give it a little bit of time. I really hope they don't get rid of him after just a year. Considering the injuries that happened, considering they've had some great wins too against the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea. That Liverpool one broke me a little bit.
I'm still celebrating it.
You should be. You should be, because that was one of those games where they just out-hustled for 90 plus minutes. And if they can figure out a way to finish better at the, when they get into that 18, they'd be in a much different spot, I believe. They're faster than a lot of teams. They'll go the whole 90, and teams have a trouble keeping up with that, except for the teams that I've seen Leeds play when they do the same thing, when it's just back and forth, all like, I think they did that against, who was it? Brentford last week? 2 weeks ago. It was just like chaotic, like back and forth, no one knowing what to do with the ball once they got into their opponent's box. And it was like that for 90 minutes, and I felt like I was watching a ping pong ball. It was going back and forth. So yeah, it was fun. Again, fun to watch, but like not what I really want to watch. In terms of the game. So yeah, we'll see. I hope they stay up. It's nice to have you as a supporter too, and be able to talk to you, because I know you watch them most weeks. And to be honest, with the games that we're looking for and watching, that's not a game we necessarily pay attention to. So it's interesting to get someone else's mindset and what they are seeing when we are not. So yeah, we definitely appreciate you sticking around, and hopefully we can get you into our league next year. We're doing Women's World Cup this summer too, which will be a fun little experience. So yeah, we still got a long ways to go this season. It's crazy that we just hit the halfway mark. It feels like we've been here forever.
It's starting to feel like a second season, which I think is probably because of the whole World Cup in the middle of the middle of it. Really.
Yeah, quite a significant break there.
Yeah.
All right, do you guys want to jump into our fun stat, if you brought one, of the week? Because I found one and I was like, pretty fascinating. It's fascinating to me. I just love looking at stats and seeing what everyone was doing. So I'll start with mine because I enjoyed it, and it's pretty fascinating. Man City right now is controlling their game with possession at 65.4%. What team is second in possession at 59.4%?
Oh.
Think about it. Chad, want to take a stab?
My immediate thought was Arsenal, because they have been playing a little bit more possessive, but like,
do you think I would find that interesting?
No, I don't think you would. That's the thing. I don't know. Beyond that, though, like, I mean, maybe a Newcastle? I don't know.
All right, you say Arsenal and Newcastle. Zach?
I'm trying to think like an outside the box kind of answer. Like
That's what it's got to be. It can't be that top four. Like,
it's got to be something like I don't know who exactly is doing this, but some team that just doesn't attack that much. Maybe it could be Tottenham with Conte at the
true.
helm, but I know they didn't really have a lot of possession against Fulham.
It's not
So
Tottenham. It's not
not
Arsenal.
Tottenham.
It's not Newcastle.
Dang.
I'll say this. Third place right now at 58.2% is Chelsea.
Really?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, Chad, really.
It's
I mean,
just,
yeah,
I figure you have that much of the ball, like you should score some goals, but
possession doesn't mean goals, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll give y'all one more guess.
Could be Leeds.
Zach going with Leeds?
I'm gonna just go crazy and say West Ham.
West Ham controls the game with 44% possession. Leeds controls the game with 49.8%. It is Liverpool with 59.4%.
What did I just say? You got the ball that much, score a dang goal.
Chad, we shoot but don't hit anything, okay? It goes into the air and then it flies away. Brighton 57.2% at fourth. Arsenal fifth at 57.1%. Man United, Leicester, the surprising one, at 51%. Then Newcastle, Tottenham, Leeds, Wolves. Bottom three being Brentford, Bournemouth, and Forest. Not too surprised by those three teams at the bottom.
Yeah.
Forest with a hefty 39.8%.
Oof.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I found that to be kind of like, of course, Liverpool would be second in possession and be losing all these games. Like, of course. So that was my fun little stat that I saw. And top three shooting percentages: City 16 shots a game, Liverpool 16 shots a game, Arsenal 16 shots a game. Not on target though, just shots.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Dang.
they're not converting. That's all I had to say.
Well, they're enjoying the possession at least. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't grab a stat this week. I spent all my stat time
fair.
on last week. So
That's fair. Which, Zach, I don't know. Did you catch last week's episode? Did you get to hear Chad's stat? I think.
Yeah, I
actually,
did.
We talked about it in Discord a little.
Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, because now I have my voice on here. You didn't give Rodrigo the respect on his name. He's the fifth top goal scorer in the Premier League right now.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's got 10. He's one of only 5 to have more than 10. It was just that you said, like, I think probably off the top of your head, but it was like, who would be scoring those goals for him? And I was like, it's Rodrigo. He's like a record signing. He's a really good attacker.
My apologies. I just, when you see a team in the table at 15th place and there's teams above them who he's outscoring, it's just like, it's kind of shocking. But yeah, 10 goals for him. That's,
Yeah, no, it's
all I'm trying to say is Holland's just a freak, and it doesn't make any sense what he's doing.
Yeah,
no sense.
Yeah, no, it only hurts on the inside, so you don't really have to apologize that much. But yeah, it was really weird to me at the very start where all these pundits were like, "Oh, Holland's really good. Who could have seen this coming?" And I was sitting there like, Football Manager saw this coming. Everybody saw this coming.
I mean, anyone who had a sniff of him at Dortmund is like, yeah, the kid's good. Like, he'll be great.
He's doing this in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And the saddest part is, in the Championship, there was, I think, like a 15 million euro deal that Leeds had with Molde for Haaland back before he went to Salzburg. And then he just, I don't know if he decided to go to Salzburg or if Roger Izzani was like, that's way too much for this young Norwegian kid.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that like Arsene Wenger missed out on Rodrigo
exactly.
or Ronaldo.
It's the typical, like, almost signed him,
Yeah.
Dang.
One of those things.
Zach, I got a question for you. Who is Leeds'
Yeah.
number 2 scorer?
Number two scorer right now.
Yeah.
Uh, oh man, I don't know. I actually don't know that off the top of my head. I would have to guess Bamford, but it could be Harrison. Actually, wait. Let me think here.
They have 4 goals.
They got 4 goals. Then I'm saying it's Bamford because he scored a lot off substitution recently.
Bamford has 1 goal, sir.
Really?
Somerville with 4.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay,
One of
that
those
makes a lot of
being
sense.
a dagger into my heart.
I remember that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. What do you know? 4.
Yeah, 7
Okay.
appearances, 4 goals. That's a pretty good ratio.
Oh yeah.
Why isn't he playing more? Is he injured?
No. As far as I can tell, he's not playing more just because this is kind of like, I don't think it's his debut season. I believe he did play last season and maybe a little under Bielsa. I can't remember exactly when he got his first appearance,
He's pretty young.
but yeah, that's really about it. Is like I think it's just that he's pretty young. We already have players that we've spent a lot of money for in his position, and it's one of those things of like I don't necessarily think money should dictate who plays what, but the people in charge do think that a good bit. Where it makes sense. If you spend 50 million on Brendan Aronson, then you're going to want to play Brendan Aronson, even if Crescencio Somerville, who you spend 1 million on,
Sure.
might be a little better or might be a little worse.
That makes
It's a lot of like we're figuring out how good he is right now, and I think he'll probably be a mainstay for a bit. But right now, he's got to like really earn his spot.
Well, when you're bringing him in at the 80th minute to go run around and cause chaos, it's working.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure that's probably I haven't seen all his goals, but I imagine that's where a lot of them are coming from is late in the game when he's outpacing a lot of the defenders who are already pretty tired. So yeah, definitely fun to see. So Chad, we have our transfer teams in here kind of coming up. Do you want to wait until the 31st and do a last day quick podcast segment on who we choose? Because I'm really curious if there's going to be any more here. I'm struggling with my midfield.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are kind of already picked up. So if you want to wait 2 days just to see what happens, I'm open to that. And we can do a quick little bonus episode there if you want to circle back. We can maybe do our forwards, because forwards, like, that was the fun spot for me.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. So Zach, we have 3 forwards to choose. We had a lot of interesting transfers coming in. I guess I'll start with mine. You want to go, or I'll do one and you do the other, and then
Sure.
we'll make a third one. I'm going to start with João Felix. I think that's, just looking at his stats from the first debut game he had, that would have been a very nice fantasy point game despite him not scoring any goals. He was all over the pitch. He had points and dribbles, a couple shots. I just think with him and Mudryk coming into Chelsea, we can't pick Mudryk since Zach took him. So, we're getting the last of the bunch that are still available. So I think he'll be a fun one to track.
And I mean, he's kind of specifically brought into Chelsea to be their striker, right? So, which clearly has been their issue, not possession.
Yep.
So I think, he was on my list for sure. He'll be interesting to follow.
Okay, great. Who you got next?
I got to give a shout out to Gakpo. He had a decent World Cup. He's had a little bit of a rough start in the league, but that's just kind of been Liverpool. But he's one of 2.5 fit Liverpool forwards, so I think he's worth a shout, and see what he can do in the second half to try and help Liverpool up the table.
He was on my list, and then I scratched him out because of the depth with Liverpool and their forwards, and I don't know what they're going to do and who's going to play the most. So he was kind of borderline for me.
They got to come back and be fit to play. Like,
I know. This could be a long second half of the season if no one's coming back. So, he's up there for me. Out of the first 3 that I wrote down, he was number 2. And then I just thought about it a little bit more, and like what we're really looking for with stat tracking. My next one's Trossard.
Yeah, I had him too, but that's just going to be one of those weird ones where it's like I don't know how much he will play necessarily. Like he will contribute for sure. I don't think he's going to take the starting spot from Martinelli. He could maybe make some appearances at center forward to give Eddie Nketiah a rest.
Right.
But I don't know if he'll play enough to like for anyone to actually pick him in the league, you know?
Yeah, we're slim picking right now though. So, you know, who else is on your list if we didn't already get them all?
I mean, those are my
those are your three
picks for sure. Yeah,
I'm happy to do those. My other ones were Anthony Gordon and Weghorst, and just like
I had Gordon
because I had to.
Yeah, Gordon is a thought. He kind of made like the honorable mention, but I don't know. He looked okay at Everton early on, and then just did nothing.
Yeah, he dropped. He dropped pretty hard.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we still got a couple days too to kind of see if anything spicy happens. So if you're good for it, we can pick back up on Wednesday the 1st. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday the 1st. You want to pick back up there and do the rest of our team?
Yeah. That sounds good.
Right,
I'm hoping Keylor Navas comes into Forest because
I know
he's
it hasn't
my keeper pick.
Yeah, that was all right. Me too. It hasn't officially happened, right?
No,
okay.
I think it's still rumors, but
okay, cool. All right, with that, Zach and I have to go to practice. But Zach, it has been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for joining.
I'm sure we'll be doing this again in the future. You know, if anything crazy happens with Leeds, whenever they have a big game, be prepared to get a call or text from us saying, all right, hey, come on, because, you know, we want your insight and what you saw. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I just want to say, weird that nobody thought of Danny Ings, who just got transferred.
He just got hurt. He just got hurt.
Oh, just hurt.
Yeah,
Never mind. Fair enough.
Hurt on the debut.
I thought about him. I did think about him.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
Yep. He's there. He just.
That'll do it.
Yeah. All right. With that, the Hooligans are out. Episode 21. We'll see everyone next week. All right. We'll see everyone Wednesday. Midweek podcast.
Yeah, midweek. There you go.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye.